There's some unique phone features that never took off. We'll look at quite a few examples, some pure genius, others not so much. The smartphone has undergone some changes over the 15 or more years they've been in our pockets. For manufacturers to keep releasing new models each year, some really experiment with features. But many don't stick around for very long or never get adopted by other manufacturers. Let me know out of this list what you wish would make a comeback. One that sounds like such a great idea on paper was phones with modular accessories, like the LG G5 and Motorola's lineup of Moto mods for Moto Z phones. The G5 would let you slide the bottom of the phone away to allow you to not only be able to replace its battery, but install other modules, like a camera module which added hardware buttons for camera control, or one with a higher quality audio DAC. But overall the selection was slim. Motorola, on the other hand, had many more of what they called Moto mods, attachable accessories that hooked onto the back of the phone, including a speaker module, camera module, battery banks, and even a projector and handheld game console attachment. But I think the biggest issue with this whole concept is cost and cross-compatibility. Are the majority of people really going to spend hundreds of dollars on accessories for one model of phone? Accessories that may not necessarily be compatible when they upgrade to a newer device. Supporting these modules across several devices means all the phones have to be the same size and shape to be able to utilize the attachments, which limits the potential design of newer devices. The only Motorola devices to support these Moto mods were the Moto Z series, a lineup of a few models spanning only 3 years, all now discontinued. The next crazy out there idea was from LG and their take on folding phones. The first of which was LG's dual display case. LG took the concept of dual computer monitors and brought it to the smartphone, including it with 3 models of their phones. The case was more durable than a plastic folding screen, but didn't allow you to seamlessly gain more screen real estate for one app, but rather let you run multiple apps at once or run apps designed to utilize the 2 screens. The problem being, app developers aren't going to take the time to optimize their app or game to use the dual screen on the off chance someone might be using this case. The case supported 3 models, the LG G8X, V50 and V60, but were not interchangeable, meaning all 3 models had their own specific dual screen case, a drawback that is similar to that of modular phones and their accessories. Sticking with weird displays, LG also released a rotating T-shaped phone, known as the LG Wing. I would go as far to say that not only was this design impractical, but a gimmick. Its selling feature being that you could flip out the main display, revealing a smaller screen that could be used for a keyboard, or to control a gimbal-like feature on the camera. But even looking at the product photos demoing the T-shaped orientation, they don't look all that practical. Released in October 2020, this form factor of phone was short-lived, lasting only 6 months, being discontinued along with the rest of LG's phone division in April 2021. But not everything on this list is a hardware feature. First released in 2014 as part of BlackBerry's OS 10.2.1, Picture Password was a method of unlocking a smartphone. But unlike a PIN or pattern passcode, it's very hard for someone looking over your shoulder to decode the passcode. The way it works is that you pick one number, a picture, and a location on the picture. By dragging the chosen number to a specific spot on the photo, the phone unlocks. As the grid of numbers changes every time, it makes it very hard for someone to easily obtain the passcode even if they watch you enter it directly in front of them. This feature came with BlackBerry phones from 2014 to their last Android-based phone in 2018. To my knowledge, it hasn't been an option on any other smartphone. In fact, it's quite a similar idea to the random keypad layout on the Anom phone's lock screen. Something that can be achieved with the right tools and root access on a regular Android device. The Anom phone was designed to be a secure phone for criminals. However, it turned out to be a honeypot set up by the FBI and AFP to catch criminals. So it might not be the best example of security, but I do like how the keypad can be randomized, making decoding the password more difficult. Another cool feature it had was 2 passcodes. Enter one and you could get into the main account, but enter the second PIN code and it logged you into a decoy account. The last passcode-based feature, now long lost, is Samsung's iris scanner. First found in the Galaxy Note 7, it was in Samsung's till the Galaxy 9 series phones. This short-lived feature allowed you to scan your irises to authenticate, just like how one might use a fingerprint to unlock a device or access a secure app. Samsung describing it as a method of biometric identification that uses mathematical pattern recognition of images of an individual's iris. A black and white low-res preview required you to align your eyes in just the right spot for the scanning to take place. Ultimately, it wasn't as popular as other options of authentication, and as the race to get bezels as thin as possible continued, the iris scanner was removed in the Galaxy S10 series phones. Personally, one form factor I wish took off for Android phones was the keyboard slider. I know that touchscreen phones are normal in the modern world, but BlackBerry's Priv slider is my favorite all-time design, despite its hardware being absolutely abysmal. I'm talking about random restarts taking a good 15 seconds to open apps like Settings, but the fact that it had an edge-to-edge OLED screen, but at the same time you could slide out a keyboard when you need to type was just fantastic and so satisfying. Something that wouldn't see its way into the last 2 BlackBerry models that followed it, probably because they were manufactured by TCL instead of BlackBerry. But speaking of mechanical pieces sliding, another short-lived feature was the slide-out camera. A few manufacturers like OnePlus and Oppo added a motorized front camera that would slide out of the top of the phone when needed, thus removing the need for a camera hole punch or notch in the display. Of course, to achieve this, space must be allocated for its hardware, including the motor and gears. However, one camera technology I think we will see more of is under-screen cameras. They've been around for a few years now, but early versions suffered from bad image quality and relied heavily on post-image processing to enhance the image. As the technology improves, I think we'll be able to see things like Apple's Face ID hidden behind the display. Before smartwatches were popular, Samsung decided it could add health-based tracking into its smartphones. Beginning with the Galaxy S5, Samsung introduced the heart rate monitor. Users could check their heart rate by placing their finger on the sensor next to the camera. This sensor would be included in Samsung's Galaxy S and Note series till the S10. Longer than some of the things on this list, but a feature unique to Samsung's and one random Lenovo phone, from the research I've found. It's likely this feature was removed with the growing popularity of smartwatches. Despite this, Samsung did demonstrate a prototype of an under-screen heart rate sensor, but it doesn't appear that it ever came to market. There's been some pretty crazy chargers for phones over the years, but for the last decade or so, there's really only been 4: micro USB, USB-C, and 30-pin and Lightning for Apple. But there was one Samsung with a strange charger. This phone was the Galaxy S5. It housed a USB 3 version of a micro USB port. While it's backwards compatible with a standard micro USB cable, its connector had extra pins, allowing for USB 3 data transfer speeds. It's the same connector found on many USB 3 hard drives. I've not been able to find any reference to other phones that also use this connector, making it a one-off. Samsung would continue to use the smaller micro USB 2 connector for 2 more years after this phone, with USB-C making its debut on the Galaxy Note 7. To finish this list off is none other than a whole category of device, the crypto phone. What are essentially normal phones with some extra crypto-centric features and a large price tag, crypto phones haven't got a good rap. And with bold claims such as zero vulnerabilities and the OS being impossible for hackers, I'm very skeptical. If you're a phone repairer like myself, you may be interested in my application iTest, available for both iOS and Android. iTest provides the ability to test hardware functions of a phone or tablet, with both a semi-automatic mode or manual mode. allowing you to easily test functions that would otherwise be too complicated without the aid of such an application. These include things like the compass, gyroscope, proximity and light sensors, or even screen burn-in. At the end of testing, you can get a nice little overview of your results and easily share them if needed. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and check out the playlist for tech that's not what it seems. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.